Hello, and welcome to Straight from the Training Ground, the show where everything always goes as planned. I'm Jay. My partner in crime, Ryan, will join us here momentarily, coming to you from a secret, undisclosed location currently. This week, we have a special lineup for everyone. We thought we'd change things up. We have a 5-question survey questionnaire for our coaches, Extravaganza. We have quite the host of characters lined up, so stay tuned for that. So, Ryan, real quick, let's get into those questions just to give a little prelude to what our viewers may see.
Do you want to just mention that we've come up with these questions based on some feedback and some input, and I think that they cover kind of like some of the core questions of being a youth soccer coach. What do you do in these circumstances?
All right, so first question, Ryan, that we're going to pose to our coaches, and we'll show that here in a few minutes. Formation. Do the players dictate the formation? Or do you have a steadfast formation that you go with regardless of what you got player-wise?
Oh, well, you've always got to be adaptable, and you've got to create a formation around the players you have. In other words, see what you've got in your roster, see who can play certain things, see where your strengths are, and develop a formation to get the best out of your players. I really find it difficult for people that try and play a rigid formation every time and then try and get players to adapt to that. So the players determine what the formation is going to be.
Square peg into a round hole. Number 2, training session. The length of the training session. What's the ideal training session? Obviously, this might vary for age groups, but go.
Yeah, age groups. I mean, I'd say the younger age groups, an hour and 15 minutes. Keep it short and snappy. Keep them get busy. Not enough lines. Don't do lines. Have them always moving. Older age groups, definitely about an hour and a half. You really want to, if they're playing at high level, guys got to put in work over an hour and a half, plenty of breaks, 3 or 4 increments, and go from there.
None of those 3-hour 1980s Scottish sessions you grew up with?
Well, I don't know. I've seen some high school sessions around here that meander on for a long time, but we won't talk about that.
Question number 3, Rosmondo. Roster size. Are you one of those coaches who likes a small, tight roster, 12, 13 players for 11v11, or do you want a big roster, 17, 18, 20 players?
Yeah, I do like a small roster. I like minimizing on the substitutes. But the reality is
that's less work for you to substitute, isn't it?
A lot of work. Focus on the game. No, the less subs, the better. But, the reality is that the older the guys get, especially high school age players, you need a bigger roster because they're always busy doing something else. There's always conflicts in terms of what their commitments are. So you're going to need about a roster of 16 to 18 guys at least.
Question number 4. Here is the, as you like to call it, the elephant in the room. Here's the big $1 million question. There will be no money reward for this game show, if you like, of questionnaires, unfortunately. But question number 4. At what age or at any age should players specialize, or do you feel it's better to play multiple sports growing up?
Well, it's good to play multiple sports at the younger age groups, right? To get more rounded. I always liked having kids that also played hockey and wrestled on my youth teams because they got a really good athletic grounding. But the older they get 13, 14, and they really want to play competitive soccer, maybe go to play in college, you really need to specialize, focus on the one sport, in my opinion.
Well, much like your well-rounded upbringing.
That's it. I was a beast of a table tennis player. So,
And last but not least, who you got? Who you support?
Well, I don't support a club in particular. I support the Scottish national team. That's my always have from a little kid watching the games with my dad. If I had to support a club, a few favorites. If you're going to twist my arm, it'd be in this order: be Preston North End.
Oh, PNE,
Glasgow Celtic. And Partick Thistle. Don't ask me why Partick Thistle. It's a long story.
We don't have time for that today. We got to keep the show rolling. All right. Well, that was a curveball there for me on the last one. I like it.
Yeah.
All right. So as we said here, we'll get into the interviews. We appreciate everyone for joining us. We have some great characters lined up from all around, different regions, different levels. Like we said, youth coaches, a high school coach, and a college coach that will answer the same question.
What's your favorite club?
Oh, let's not get into that.
Yeah, let's get into that real quick.
Well, I mean, I have to be honest. It's a bad time to say this, but United. Grew up and in the 90s and started being on TV here a lot. That's when they were on TV a lot. So I really got into them, and times are tough right now. Local team, Columbus Crew. As you can tell from my undisclosed location, there you go.
Oh,
stay tuned for our coach's Big 5 questionnaire.
I don't have a preferred formation in the older age groups. I'm going to try and put together the best team that we can put together based on the players that we have. That can mean any type of formation. We're trying to get them ready for college, and before you send them off to college, they should be able to play in any formation, and hopefully they will have played in every position. In the younger age groups, I think you can have a set formation.
I don't have a preferred formation. I usually bring the players in and try to go ahead and determine what formation is going to suit us the best for that particular year. The one thing I do try to go ahead and have would be left-footed players having the ability to play on the left side to give us a balanced, not only attack but also defensive shape.
Every coach probably has a preferred formation that they want to play, but I've come to learn that you've got to adapt a formation to the players that you have. That's been my experience. It's going to work out best if you can set them up to highlight their abilities.
So session length for the younger kids, I would say 90 minutes is more than adequate. An hour and a quarter to 90 minutes, something like that. And then with the older players, an hour and a half is adequate in my opinion. You can probably go an hour and 3/4, not more than that though.
I like to keep my training to about an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes tops. I think after that, sort of you lose the kids. I like to be as efficient as possible. Sometimes our trainings might only be an hour, depending on. So there's a lot of off-season work and preparation that goes into having the ability just to go ahead and have a quick session to get everything accomplished.
Yeah, I think 90 minutes is about a proper session if there's not much downtime. I know in high school sometimes we build it up to a 2-hour practice, but with temperatures and we're outside, we normally use that as some downtime, some recovery time, get out of the sun for a minute. So we may extend it out to 2 hours. But I think if we don't have any breaks, 90 minutes is good.
The only time I've benefited from having big squads is when the kids are older, U16, 17, 18. They've got a lot going on. College prep exams, college visits, proms, dates, whatever. So kids are going to be missing quite a bit. In the younger age groups, I prefer smaller squads. Just to give everybody a chance to be out on the field as much as possible, because that is a very important part of development, is playing in games.
I like the 18 to 20 man roster, just for the fact of having the ability to change on the fly. Not every person's game is going to be the best game, so I like to be a little bit deeper in that regard.
I prefer a roster of like 16 to 18 for matches. I think 12 to 15, you can be a little light sometimes. If people can't attend matches or injuries, I feel like that's just a little light. And I think when you get 18 to 20, it's a bit much. You probably have guys that just aren't playing as much, and that becomes a concern. So I think 16 to 18 is a good fit for the way I like to rotate players.
So I've always encouraged my players, regardless of age, to be active in other sports or other activities, and I'm not going to push them either way. That's not my job. Hopefully as they get older, they can make their own decisions. I shouldn't have to push them into making soccer their priority.
I think through the ages of 13 to 18, I think kids should play multiple sports. It's only going to make them better athletes. They're also going to be more organized in regards to their schedules. I don't think they should just focus on one sport. I think the burnout rate is, with women, you're starting to see significant difference with that. And I just think, I know the seasons overlap, but I'd rather have a fully functional athlete that has the ability to adapt and overcome to different situations that we go ahead and play. It's not just this is one sport that I've played my whole life.
I actually see both sides of this. If a high school player, they have to play their club soccer sport. Like, you can't ignore that. But I also recognize playing other sports can help develop the game. I've talked to players who get burnt out from just playing soccer year-round or one sport year-round. Personally, when I was growing up, I always played basketball as well, and it was a nice outlet. I took soccer a lot more serious, but just to go out and compete and have fun and something else. So I see both sides of that coin, but I think a player can't neglect their club season.
So this is probably not the best day to ask me who I support. What I can tell you is that I support the first and the original professional football team from the city of Liverpool in England. Now, we did lose at home 1-0 today, and that's life. It makes me a tougher person following this particular team, and it makes me also a tougher person mentally to be following my hometown team of Llangemni Town in Wales.
My club that I have supported through and through has been Liverpool. I know they've had their ups and downs in the younger years. They're finding their feet again, getting back to the point. But I like the passion, the fans, the way that they play, the high pace, the high pressure. For me, that's what I want to try to implement into ours. But yeah, that's who I follow through and through. Go Reds.
Arsenal Football Club, all the way. I put up with a decade of garbage, so it's nice to see them back on the top, back on their way up.
Visit our friends at Football Town for casual football wear. And until next time, straight from the training ground.